You're still.
You can say whatever you want, but we did just have like a meeting yesterday, and I'm not going to go into detail because I don't really know what I'm supposed to say, but negotiations are in process.
To get things moving?
In hopes of getting it moving, because it has not been moving at all. It's been at a very standstill.
I knew that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, why has it been at a standstill, Sophie? Because y'all not being realistic. That's why it's been at a standstill.
Yeah, why has it been at a standstill, Sophie? Because you all are not being realistic. That is why it has been at a standstill. Next, Sophie Cunningham just told you negotiations have been at a standstill. But here is what she is not telling you. The WNBA Players Association has been calling this a lockout on social media. They have been posting images of rats in the streets of New York, comparing ownership to vermin. They have been framing this as greedy owners versus exploited players. But when you actually listen to what Sophie says here, a completely different story emerges, and it is not the story that the WNBPA wants you to hear. The players walked into these CBA negotiations demanding 50% revenue share. That is the same split NBA players get.
Are holding our ground, so it should be interesting.
Who does the negotiations for stuff like that? Is it like just leaders of players who have these roles, or are your guys agents also?
No.
Fighting in the front lines? Like, how does
actually?
It work?
Good question. So we have an executive board on the Players Association side, and so we have like lawyers and consultants and all these types of people, and then we have like actual players who are on the exec board. And so those are the ones who are like always in talks and in negotiations. And then on the league side, it's like Kathy, and then some of the owners are sitting in, they're all in talks.
Sounds reasonable on the surface, right? Except for one critical detail that changes everything. Both sides are getting frustrated, but we are holding our ground. That phrase right there reveals the entire problem. The players are treating this like a battle they can win through stubbornness. They are approaching negotiations like it is a game of chicken, assuming the owners will blink first because of public pressure. But here's what Sophie does not understand about the business side. The WNBA has lost money every single year of its 27-year existence. Not some years, not most years, every single year. The NBA has subsidized the league to the tune of tens of millions annually just to keep it operational.
Is kind of involved if you want to be.
Do you think that owners are more lean towards players or lean towards Kathy in the league?
So I think that there's kind of what it seems like, and I don't know this for 100% fact, but from my perspective, it seems like that half of our owners are player first and really wanting to invest, and the other half are more league side. But it's weird because they do want to invest, but you just don't have owners who are willing to spend, I guess.
Bruh, but y'all gotta remember, hold on, so we're gonna go back a little bit. You're telling these people they're not looking to invest. They've invested. They've lost money every single year. Sophie, come on, mamas. They've lost money every year. You can't get crazy with people. Like, nobody's trying to lose money every year. Nobody's trying to lose money every year. Come on now.
When Sophie talks about owners not willing to invest, she is ignoring the fact that these owners have been investing at a loss for decades. The players want to be treated like NBA players. They want NBA-level revenue sharing, but they do not want to acknowledge the fundamental difference. NBA players are splitting profits. WNBA players are asking to split revenue while the league operates at a loss. That is not revenue sharing. That is asking owners to lose even more money than they already are. Bro, but you all gotta remember, hold on, see, we're gonna go back a little bit. You are telling these people they are not looking to invest. They have invested. They have lost money every single year, Sophie, come on. They have lost money every year. You cannot get crazy with people. Like, nobody is trying to lose money every single year. Nobody is trying to lose money every year. Come on now.
But
yeah,
I do like.
Is there anyone in the WNBA who is by far and away the owner who gives back the most, puts the most into their team?
Yeah, I feel like
everyone is I really want to play for this organization.
Yes, I feel like at the front line, owners who are most involved, I would say right now, would be New York, Seattle, and Phoenix. Like they have
I knew
funds.
Liberty was going to be one.
Yes, and they're awesome. Their ownerships are completely awesome. They are very player first. They know that, you're going to maybe lose a little money on the front end, but you'll get it back if you invest. But like at the end of the day, depending on where these negotiations go, like if you give these players what they...
Now this part is fascinating. Sophie reveals there is a split among the owners themselves. Half are player first and willing to invest. The other half are more league side and not willing to spend. She frames this as a moral divide, like some owners care about players and others do not. But watch what happens when she names the good owners: New York, Seattle, Phoenix. These are the three organizations she praises for being completely awesome and very player first. And then she says something revealing. They know you are going to maybe lose a little money on the front end, but you will get it back if you invest. Lose a little money on the front end. That phrase does a lot of work because it is not a little money, and it is not just the front end. The Liberty, owned by Joe Tsai, lost money in 2023 despite making the finals. The Storm, owned by Force 10 Hoops, operates at a loss annually. The Mercury, owned by Matt Ishbia, hemorrhages cash.
I totally understand the business side of things of like, the W has not always made money. And so there's still a big old chunk of money that has lost. And
Never made money. Never. Hasn't always. Never. Come on, now it seemed like you're starting to come to your senses a little bit. You're starting to get a little bit more real.
The W has not always made money. And so there's still a big old chunk of money that has lost. And so how do you give these owners who are wanting and willing to invest, still try to give them some profit, but also investing in the current product now? And so it is difficult and complicated.
These are not owners refusing to invest. These are owners investing millions and getting nothing back except more losses. Sophie is praising them because they are willing to keep losing money without complaining. That is what player first means in this context. It means owners who will absorb infinite losses and smile about it. This is the core of the player's argument, and it falls apart under the slightest scrutiny. Sophie is claiming that if teams pay players more, they will attract better talent, win more games, and sell more tickets. It is a theory that might work in a league with competitive balance and revenue generation, but the WNBA is not that league. Look at what happened in 2024. The Indiana Fever had the worst record in franchise history the previous season. They drafted Caitlin Clark first overall.
It's like why are people, and maybe they are behind the scenes, but like, why are you guys not using what we've already built? Like, this is a successful business. So why is the W not learning and leaning on people who are already building that type? And I get it. Everyone's like, well, you're not the men. We know that, but there's still things in those contracts and what they do in their leagues that could be very beneficial for us as players and for the league. And so that's where I just don't understand. But honestly, it sucks because it's like, how our negotiation, all that, how that's going, it's like we're the laughing stock of sports right now. And I'm like,
yeah, but y'all acting like clowns though. A lot of it is on the things y'all are doing publicly. A lot of it is on what y'all doing publicly. Y'all going and putting rats in the street in New York. Y'all going and acting like ratchet, bitter ex-girlfriends on Instagram, on the WNBPA Instagram. That's y'all doing.
That is so effing typical.
I don't think that that's true though, because you been on a it's because of recent success.
Oh yeah, no, like it is a really good thing why we're in this position, but I think we're not aligning on why we're in this position and where it just comes back to revenue share. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like they think it was them, and it's like everyone else around the whole world's like it's not. You know, like it's just.
Suddenly, they are selling out arenas, drawing 3 million viewers for playoff games and generating more media attention than the league has seen in years. Did that happen because the Fever paid their players more than other teams? No, it happened because of one transcendent talent. The players want to believe that investment in salaries drives success, but the 2024 season proved the opposite. One player changed everything. And that player, Caitlin Clark, is making $200,000 in salary while generating hundreds of millions in value. The disconnect between player compensation and revenue generation is not what the WNBPA thinks it is. I totally understand the business side of things. Never made money, never not hasn't always, never. Come on now. It seemed like you were starting to come to your senses a little bit. You were starting to get a little bit more real.
And that makes sense to everything you're saying. Like,
Can I just say
people
something
don't agree
though?
why it's cool.
Anytime you're in a position of leadership, yes, but just like in a position to influence and empower other people, for some reason our league doesn't do that. Everyone wants to be the star, right? Like everyone wants like to be so self-centered, where it's like, no, like our commissioner right now, even though we're not agreeing on negotiations or we're barely even talking at all, like she could still go on other social media platforms and like be like, hey, I believe in our product. I love our product. I want our product to have everything. Like go out there and speak positively and happy and like proud of your product, because that gives off a different feel than just not saying anything and acting like we don't exist.
Yeah, but y'all, bro, y'all are delusional. Now, Sophie, you acting delusional as hell right now. Y'all are the ones who are going out and talking negative. She ain't said nothing bad about y'all. Y'all are going at every turn and trying to get in front of every camera and blast Kathy, blast the league. Stop it, man. Y'all gotta stop, bro. Y'all gotta stop with this victim stuff. Please stop. Stop. Y'all have brought a lot of this negative light onto yourself, which is why Rebecca Lobo got on camera and said, you guys need to stop going about this thing how you're going about it publicly, because it's turning the people off and you're losing public support from fans because how you guys get on camera and talk. That is why Rebecca Lobo said that. Y'all sitting here trying to act like victims is nasty work.
The WNBA has not always made money, and so there is still a big old chunk of money that has been lost. And so how do you give these owners who are wanting and willing to invest, still try to give them some profit, but also investing in the current product now? And so it is a tough situation, I will give you that. Yeah, but you all, girl, you all are deluding. Now, Sophie, you are acting delusional as hell right now. You all are the ones who are going out and talking negative. She has not said nothing bad about you all. You all are going at every turn and trying to get in front of every camera and blast Kathy Engelbert, blast the league. Stop it. Stop. You all gotta stop, bro. You all gotta stop with this victim stuff. Please stop. You all have brought a lot of this negative light onto yourself, which is why Rebecca Lobo got on camera and said, you guys need to stop going about this thing how you were going about it, publicly, because it is turning the people off. And you are losing public support from fans because of how you guys get on camera and talk. That is why Rebecca Lobo said that. You all are sitting here trying to act like victims. It's nasty work. Get out of here with that. And now we get to the heart of the delusion. Sophie's co-host brings up the Caitlin Clark effect, the massive ratings spike, the sold-out arenas, the media attention, and Sophie cannot bring herself to give Clark full credit. She says it's because of recent success and claims everyone around the whole world contributed, not just one player. This is the fundamental disconnect that is poisoning these negotiations. The WNBA refuses to acknowledge that Caitlin Clark is the reason 2024 was different. They want to believe it was a collective effort, a rising tide lifting all boats, the natural result of the league's growth trajectory. But the numbers do not lie. In 2023, WNBA games averaged 400,000 viewers. In 2024, games featuring Caitlin Clark averaged 1.2 million viewers. Games without her averaged 500,000. The Fever went from last in attendance in 2023 to selling out every game in 2024. Merchandise sales for Clark jerseys exceeded the rest of the league combined. One player did that. Not the collective, not everyone around the whole world, one rookie who the league's veterans spent the entire season taking physical shots at, complaining about, and refusing to acknowledge. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert tried to give Clark credit in multiple interviews throughout the season. She called Clark a generational talent and credited her with driving unprecedented growth. And what happened? Nafisa Collier, a member of the WNBA Executive Committee, publicly contradicted Engelbert, saying Caitlin is where she is because of the WNBA, as if the league created Clark rather than Clark elevating the league. This matters for negotiations because the players genuinely believe they deserve 50% of revenue based on their collective value. But 2024 proved that 90% of the new revenue came from one player, and that player is making $200,000, while veterans who cannot shoot 40% from the field are demanding millions. Sophie talks about owners not being willing to empower and influence players, but here's what empowerment looks like in practice. The WNBA Instagram account posting images of rats in New York streets with captions comparing owners to vermin. Union leadership skipping critical negotiation meetings. Kelsey Plum and Nafisa Collier, both on the executive committee, did not even show up to the January meeting. Sophie is discussing they sent subordinates while they played in Unrivaled, a 3-on-3 league that is hemorrhaging money in Miami. This is what the players call holding our ground, missing meetings, posting rat memes, rejecting offers that would make them millionaires, and then wondering why they're a laughingstock. Rebecca Lobo, WNBA legend and current ESPN analyst, said it explicitly in February 2025. The way the players are handling this publicly is turning fans against them. You cannot negotiate through Instagram posts and expect public support. She is right, but the WNBA did not listen. They doubled down. The owners are not the problem here. The owners have been subsidizing losses for 27 years. They have invested in new arenas, better facilities, charter flights for playoffs, increased meal plans, improved hotels. They have done all of this while losing money. And their reward is being compared to rats by the people they are subsidizing. Sophie says some owners are player first and others are cheap. But what she is really saying is, some owners are willing to lose infinite amounts of money without complaint, and others want to see a path to profitability before committing to even larger losses. That is not being cheap. That is basic business sense. The players want to be treated like NBA players. They want 50% of revenue, they want chartered flights for every game, they want longer seasons, bigger rosters, higher minimum salaries. All of that costs money. Money that has to come from somewhere. And when you're already operating at a massive loss, asking for more money means asking owners to lose even more money. Here's the reality the WNBA does not want to face. They have no leverage. They cannot strike because most players make more money overseas than they do in the WNBA. If the season does not happen, players lose their American exposure, but keep their international salaries. Owners lose money either way, so a canceled season might actually save them money in the short term. The players think public pressure will force owners to cave. They think if they post enough on social media, call enough press conferences, and frame this as a social justice issue, they will win. But it is not working. Fans are seeing through it. When you reject an offer that would make you a millionaire while calling your employers rats, you lose the moral high ground pretty quickly. So where does this end? Most likely with a deal somewhere between the league's offer and the players' demand. The players will claim victory because they got more than the initial offer. The owners will absorb even larger losses and hope that future Caitlin Clarks emerge to drive revenue growth. That might eventually lead to profitability, but the damage is done. The players have shown they are willing to negotiate through social media rather than conference rooms. They have shown they do not understand basic business economics, and they have shown they would rather be victims than partners. Sophie Cunningham seems like a reasonable person in this interview. She is clearly thinking through the issues, acknowledging complexity, trying to understand both sides. But she is still operating from a fundamentally flawed premise that owners who have lost money for 27 years are the bad guys for not wanting to lose even more money. Until the players accept that revenue sharing only works when there is profit to share, these negotiations will continue to be a circus. And the longer it takes, the more public support they lose. Because at the end of the day, fans do not care about labor negotiations. They care about watching basketball. And if there is no season because players rejected an offer that would make them millionaires, those fans are not going to blame the owners. They are going to blame the players, who called them rats.
The WNBA has never made money, not one single year in 27 years of existence, and you're demanding 50% of revenue before expenses? Like, that is insane. You cannot ask people to lose more money than they are already losing and then act like victims when they say no. That is not how business works. That is not how anything works. And that is why this whole thing is at a standstill, because reality has to set in at some point.